You're listening to Four Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast.
Today is Wednesday, January 21st. I'm Maria Lizignoli.
And I'm Johnny Connor. Thanks for listening to Four Things to Know.
Our top story today. Federal officials say immigration arrests are hitting new heights here in Minnesota. President Trump says immigration agents have made 10,000 arrests in the state over the past year. But right now, the data we have access to is limited. That's because ICE stopped making detailed information about arrests publicly available about a year ago. The Trump administration says they've arrested thousands of serious criminals over the past year, but the numbers we have paint a different picture. The latest information obtained by the Deportation Data Project runs from January 2025 through October 2025, before Operation Metro Surge. During that time, about 600 people with criminal convictions were arrested in Minnesota, out of more than 1,600 people detained. Nationally, the most recent data from 2025 shows about 66% of people arrested by ICE had criminal charges or convictions, but only 7% of those detained were convicted of violent crimes.
Number 2, today, 2 men detained by ICE had hearings in federal court. One of the men is a Venezuelan national who was shot by ICE agents as he tried to get away. That was last week in North Minneapolis. The Department of Homeland Security says the men were attacking them with shovels and brooms, and that's why they shot. In federal court today in Saint Paul, we heard a different story about what happened that night. That started with an ICE officer scanning the plates of Alfredo Alejandro Ahorna's car. He was driving for DoorDash at the time. The ICE officer says the plates came back to another person who the officer believed was in the country illegally. That's when a chase began. It's also when Ahorna called Julio Cesar Sosa Solis, who told him to come to his apartment in North Minneapolis. That's where the officer says the chase stopped. Ahorna then ran from the car, the officer chased him, and the two struggled on the ground. Sosa Solis says he pulled Ahorna away from the officer and they ran to the house. As they tried to shut the door, they say the officer fired at them from about 10 feet away. Sosa Solis was hit in the leg. The officer claims that during the struggle, he was being hit by shovels and brooms. In court today, the FBI agent who testified about that night says many people were interviewed and no one was able to corroborate the officer's story that he was hit while on the ground. Both Ahorna and Sosa Solis were granted conditional release. They do, however, have ICE detainers, so it's likely that they will end up in ICE custody again.
Number 3, the federal government is now getting the courts involved to force top DFL leaders to hand over information, including records of communication about immigration enforcement. Yesterday, the Justice Department served subpoenas to the offices of Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, and Saint Paul Mayor Kali Herr. The two Twin Cities mayors held a breakfast with the mayors event earlier today. Both Frey and Herr were asked many questions about Operation Metro Surge and those subpoenas that their offices have been served by the federal government. Mayor Herr said her legal team is looking into the subpoena, and Mayor Frey called these subpoenas an attempt to intimidate them. When discussing federal agents in their cities, both mayors say they're all for precise immigration operations for violent criminals. However, they say this is an occupation of federal agents that they say needs to stop.
This is not how we operate in America. You do not get to subpoena and federally investigate mayors because they speak up for their constituencies, which, by the way, is one of the core functions in our city charter, our Constitution. You do not get to randomly yank Somali people and Latino people off the street because of the way that they look. You do not get to just ask for their passports because they happen to look like they're not from here. By the way, if you've been around Minneapolis and Saint Paul in the last 25 years, they do look like they're from here.
I am completely for law and order. I am completely for ensuring that people who should not be in this country, if they are violent, if they are national security threats, that we absolutely should be targeting those individuals. But the reality in front of us is that they are targeting anyone and everyone in their path.
To wrap up the discussion, the two mayors shared they're still both working to support businesses and strengthen their cities amid the chaos of this increased federal operation. Some other topics they covered today were property taxes and revitalizing their cities.
Number 4 today, a former longtime sports reporter is stepping into the world of politics. Michelle Tafoya is running for U.S. Senate. The California native has lived in Minnesota for more than 30 years and raised her family in the Twin Cities. CBS News can confirm Tafoya met last week with the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which recruited her to run for the seat being vacated by Senator Tina Smith. No Republican has won a statewide race in Minnesota since 2006. Tafoya tells our Jonah Kaplan in an exclusive interview that she's best prepared to break that losing streak, adding she's the answer to what she calls Minnesota's crisis of leadership.
I think dealing with people is really what it comes down to. And you're dealing with coaches, owners, players, players when they've lost, players when they've won, all those circumstances. And that might not seem relevant, but I would contend it is. It has helped prepare me to hold people to account. As a journalist, that's what I've done my entire career, and I intend to take that to the Senate.
If she wins the nomination, Tafoya would likely face off against either Congresswoman Angie Craig or Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. Those are the 2 top contenders for the Democratic nomination. The state GOP convention is in May, while the primary is in August. Those are the 4 things to know today. Now let's check in on our forecast as a dangerous cold makes its way to Minnesota.
Hi, I'm next weather meteorologist Lisa Meadows. Here's your forecast. Heading into tonight, temps drop down to 5 for your overnight low. And then tomorrow, temperatures will basically be falling throughout the day. And then we have extreme cold weather moving in, especially for Friday and Saturday.
And now, here's more to know.
New today, we're hearing from Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. Today, he spoke out against President Trump, saying the administration has transformed law enforcement into a tool of political repression.
The Fourth Amendment may be one of the most important. I'm going to tell you why. It basically says the government may not be irrational and use irrational force and take your stuff. If any government, if you want to say, is this government tyrannical? Well, one pure indicator is that armed agents of the state, who you don't even know who they are because they're masked, can kick your door in, beat you down, and kill you. Once that happens, you know without any doubt, you are in a tyrannical society.
This Friday, there is a planned statewide day of mourning and a call for ICE to leave Minnesota. Organizers are calling for no work, no school, and no shopping, along with a massive march in downtown Minneapolis in the afternoon. This morning, lawmakers came together at the state capitol and spoke out in support of what is being called the Day of Truth and Freedom. These lawmakers shared stories of Minnesotans living in fear as Operation Metro Surge continues. They say ICE agents are working to meet arrest quotas and arresting people based on racial profiling rather than their legal status. Here's what State Senator Zainab Mohammed had to say about that.
On Friday, we will resist in a big way. The day of truth and freedom to pause this state and come together as one. Let's show this authoritarian government that power in the United States lies not in our temporary leaders, but in our Constitution. And those first 3 words, we the people.
Lawmakers also shared they are working on legislation to push back against ICE operations and help support Minnesotans who have had their rights violated. Other legislation in the works includes support for children impacted by the immigration crackdown.
The FBI is again offering a 6-figure reward and releasing new photos of another person they want to speak with. You can see those pictures on our website. The reward is in connection to the break-ins of federal vehicles during protests in North Minneapolis. We talked about those earlier in the show. Now, the Bureau is offering $100,000 after they say dozens of protesters smashed 2 parked, unmarked FBI vehicles and ripped out a large lockbox from the trunk and tried to open it. The FBI says the crowd also tore through a second vehicle and broke into an empty locked container. Officials say there was at least 1 gun inside. You'll remember the FBI said it arrested a suspect in this case last week, claiming they were a member of the Latin Kings gang, and expect more arrests. We'll keep you updated.
Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to visit Minnesota tomorrow. That's according to the Associated Press. They say he will hold a roundtable with local leaders and community members, though that trip has not yet been officially announced. This will be his first visit to the state since the start of Operation Metro Surge and the shooting death of Renee Good by ICE agent Jonathan Ross. Vance has vigorously defended the shooting of Good, calling Ross a, quote, innocent law enforcement officer and labeling Good a, quote, deranged leftist who tried to run him over. Vance last visited Minnesota in September to honor the victims of the mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church.
Today, President Donald Trump spoke at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. He made his case in person for why the U.S. should have Greenland, and he said the U.S. will not use force to acquire the Danish territory.
Because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States.
Let's get to sports. An update on Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison's legal trouble. An attorney for the state of Florida dismissed the misdemeanor trespassing charge against Addison. The charge stemmed from an early morning incident last week at Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Tampa. A police report says security asked Addison to leave the premises several times, but he did not comply and was arrested. No games for the Wolves and Wild tonight. Good thing, Maria, because both of them lost last night.
Oof, hard to watch.
Maria, it's going to be so cold out tomorrow and Friday that the annual U.S. Pond Hockey Championships on Lake Nokomis canceled the first 2 days.
Oh, no.
I know,
You
it's
would
sad
think
news.
they'd be excited about the cold, but this cold, it's dangerous.
Brutal.
Dangerous cold.
So ironic, right?
Yeah.
Organizers say they consulted with medical pros and local meteorologists, and the decision is being made with safety as the top priority. So the first day will be on Saturday.
Okay. And it's supposed to be a little warmer Saturday. So, hopefully it doesn't get canceled again, but I think it's a good call.
Hopefully the winds die down too. I think that's a big problem right now. And speaking of skating, this is pretty cool. The Olympics just days away. Minnesota speed skater Greta Myers, she is headed to her first Winter Games at just 21 years old. She'll compete in 3 or 4 races, and as a big fan growing up, she plans to take in as many sports there as possible.
I'm super excited. I think the energy at the games will be really high because you have the world's best athletes in every discipline in one place competing. So I'm super, super excited to just be a part of that and to even watch like the hockey and figure skating and short track events.
Just watching the Olympics on TV is exciting. Can you imagine being there up close and personal, watching every event? And then as an athlete herself, she gets to, talk with some of the people that she's watching.
So cool. And 21 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy. Everyone's getting younger and younger. She's beating me at 21. That is for sure.
She's beating a lot of people. Oh, Greta, congratulations. And we're rooting for you.
It's time to take a breath with your Daily Bright Spot.
Connecticut is home to a Great Dane that is now the tallest living female dog in the world. She's 3 feet, 2¼ inches tall. And guess what her name is?
Minnie.
That's the perfect name. So this month, she took home the title of Guinness World Records tallest living girl dog. The family is measuring her closely to see if she reaches the tallest female dog ever record, but right now she's only 0.5 centimeter away from that record.
Just put her in high heels.
Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. I mean, the average person is 5'5", and she's more than half of that.
She's getting up there. I want to see a picture.
Oh, it is so funny. Look it up. Look up Minnie, tallest Great Dane. She's like up counter height, sitting on the couch like a person. It's hilarious.
You wouldn't be able to keep food on the counter and things like that. You'd have to put away everything.
Literally everything. But I've heard Great Danes are just super chill dogs.
Just calm. Like
lap dogs, if you can believe it.
3 feet too.
I wonder how much she weighs. Probably a lot. I wonder how much she eats.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine?
Everything.
Now, Johnny, are you more of a big dog person or a little dog person?
I would like a big dog in the winter to actually like go on a walk. A little dog's too cold, right?
I know.
But there's something to be sad about, probably shouldn't say this, but like driving with your dog in the car seat or the front seat, that's fun. You can't really do that with a big dog.
No, they've got to be in the back. Yeah, they've got to be in the back.
What about you, Maria?
I've always been a big dog person. I grew up with boxers, but I got a little dog now, and I'm converted.
Phoebe,
the little Chihuahua pit bull mix. She's like 20 pounds and perfect.
She's ready for the summer.
She can't handle this cold. That's for sure. I can't either, honestly. I can't either. So everyone, please stay warm. Take care of yourself. Thanks for listening to 4 Things to Know. With Johnny Connor, I'm Maria Lizignoli. We're here with the news you need every weekday afternoon by 3 o'clock.
Listen to 4 Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.